Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we're going to be doing something a bit different, something that might extend for quite a few parts or quite a few videos, and that's okay. That's probably time we need to go through everything, and in these videos I want to go through my thinking process, why it is that I'm doing the things that I'm doing. And I figured that's the sort of content that I like to watch the most on YouTube and in other platforms. So I figured that's probably the content that you like to watch as well in these sort of channels. So I've got a song that I've produced and recorded on Ableton. I've exported all the files into Reaper because I quite like Reaper for the mixer, and like I don't quite like Ableton to mix, to be fair. And I really like to split the two stages, and that's something that I recommend, or I can't recommend enough, which is I think you should definitely split the production, the recording, the editing, and then change templates and change colors and everything and get into your mixer stage, or like a mixer brain, if you know what I mean, because I think it's going to help you with the decisions that you make, and it's going to help you with not feeling attached to the song that you've done. It makes you look at the song a bit more impartially and a bit more as if you were mixing it for somebody else, and I think that's very positive. So I've exported everything, brought it all up in here, created some groups, some basic groups in green, left all the tracks in gray to make it easier to look at. This kind of skin in Reaper I can show you. Actually, I've got quite a few. This is this Rado blue, and kind of resembles Pro Tools a little bit. The faders kind of do, but don't at the same time. Like, colors are different, the way things work here are different, so I think it's a good sort of visually pleasing but not too distracting theme. So I quite like this one. And I have dragged a reference. I've dragged my rough mix, which we can actually start by listening to that in a second. And then I'm going to play a bit of the song, probably not the whole song. I'll probably play like a chorus or verse 2 into chorus 2. We'll go from there, and I'll kind of, like I said, explain what it is that we're doing at each time. So let me play first a little bit of the rough. I'm not sure if the volumes are matching, probably not actually. So I'm going to I've lowered them already. I've lowered them by 9 dBs and this one by 7 dBs. Okay, let's see if it kind of matches the volume. If not, I'll change it. And let's listen a little bit. So this is the rough. Testing all day. Baby, pressing on me. Are you sorry, if I fool once again? My persona isn't all there is to me. I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. Okay, cool. I think, well, it has been some days since I've listened to the song actually, And I think it's important you always start with listening to the rough mix because it gives you an idea of sort of how it is sounding, what's good about the song already, where do we want to take the song, and what do we want to enhance rather than the things we want to fix, because it's more about what's sounding good already and what can we make better. And so as I was listening, and that's something I recommend you guys do, like grab a piece of paper and just like highlight the things that you like and the things that you want to improve even more. So I was noticing like the song is very kind of like spacious, very ethereal. Like the reverbs were sounding good on the rough. I want to make that even more spacious and even more um, kind of how can I describe it? Bigger, but not like overwhelming. I want to make it nice, um, like spread out through the field basically, and I want to make that shine. Both the synths, the vocals as well. They were sounding quite spacious and quite big, quite um, well, I forgot the word. That's the problem with English not being the first language. But yeah, I think you get the idea. Like that is already noticeable, and I want to make it even more present. The bass was fat, was like a nice round bass, which I like, and I wanted to enhance that as well, to make it very steady, very round, to not make it dynamic, but to make it just very robust and always sitting there properly. The kick is knocking already as well, but we can make that perhaps a bit better. The background vocals, I was a bit like, okay, I'm not sure what I want to do with the background vocals, but we'll have time to think about that. I think we'll probably put some nice effects. I think that's probably a good place for us to be a bit creative, to try new things with the background vocals, like to try different effects other than just the reverb and the delay. I think we can try something a bit more distorted or a bit more panning, shifting left to right. I think we can be a bit creative with that. So I'll probably leave those for last, and then we're gonna listen to the tracks as they are. Like the effects were not printed, so some things will sound different. Especially the vocals, they'll sound like pretty dry because the reverbs were bypassed. I don't think I bypassed like the bit of compression and things that I had, but I definitely bypassed the effects. So we're gonna have to recreate those. I could have actually printed them in separate tracks, what I should have, to be fair, but I didn't. So we're gonna have to come up with our own. And let's listen to how it is. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to loop the chorus, because I'm sure we're gonna have a bit of work to do in terms of balancing the tracks. So that's the first thing we're going to do. Let's say you've listened to your rough mix, took your notes, you know sort of the direction you want to go with the song. And so now we are going to bring this meter up here, leave it here in the corner with a little pin so it doesn't move. I want to be looking at the song, not peaking higher than that. If it's too low, we're gonna have to perhaps increase the tracks a little bit, just to optimize them for the processes we're gonna do with the channel strips and EQs and things. But if it's around this area, that's perfect. That's where we want to be. But just for reference, we're not going to worry too much about that right now. But it's always important we keep an eye on our gain staging. So we're going to play that part in loop, the chorus, and we're going to balance tracks as they are, trying to solo at least as possible. If we need to solo just to get acquainted with a track and see what it's doing, fine. But I think we're just going to try to balance things as we hear them playing all together. I find that to be way better. So let's try to do that. Get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. Get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. Get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. Get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you. I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home, I get home back to you, home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home back to you. Home back to my life. Ain't gotta wear no disguise. I get home back to you. Home I'm tempted to actually record some automation on this already, because I think I want to listen before. So this pad right here, where's that? It was this pad, I think. Yeah, it's just in the chorus. What is this here? Cool. So let's actually listen from this part until we get into the chorus, because I'm feeling it, as in, I'm not sure if I want to make it kind of more important than the electric piano, or the other way around. So let's listen from here. Yeah, if I fool once again, my persona isn't all there is to me. Oh, I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. Yeah, like I think the first half of this chorus, I see this piano playing a bit higher, having like a more important part, whereas here it's the pad that's more important than the electric piano, I would say. Whereas it gets to the chorus, I find it kind of the other way. Like the first half, I would give more importance to the electric piano, but then second half of the chorus, I want to make kind of like a swell, kind of like bring the pads in to make it more and more important as we get to the end of the chorus and then to the outro. So I think I'm gonna record touch. Well, first we need to do that, and then let's try that. I can't remember which one. Right. Yeah, let's write automation. Let's see. I'll move it from here. I've got a fader port, but I haven't plugged it in actually, so I'll plug it in for next time. Now I'll use the mouse. It's not a problem. Oh, I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. Let's listen. Ooh, maybe take that out. Yeah. Over here. Oh, I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. What the hell am I doing? Not that as well. I had it on touch or on right. I can't remember. Let's go. Yep, definitely not that one. It goes to touch automatically. I don't understand. I'm confused. Read. I get home back to you, home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. I get home think over here is a bit exaggerated, to be fair. But I like it. I think it kind of emphasizes a bit. Yeah, that's finishing there. Let's try that like that. It emphasizes a bit of what I wanted to do, which is we're getting to the end of the chorus, so we wanted to leave big, but I'm still not quite sure what to do with the first part here. Maybe I'll do something with, the piano instead. Well, the electric piano. Let's listen again. Privilege that only you can see. I get home back to you. Wrong chorus. All there is to me, yeah. Oh, I get home. I get home back to you. Home back to my life. You gotta wear no disguise. I get home. I get home back to you. Home back to my life. Okay, I am not sure if this is a matter of just volume. I don't know why we started, you see, like, I don't know why we started with these, but this kind of was a bit apparent to me, so we went with these ones, which is nothing wrong. I don't think we always need to start with drums and then vocals and whatever. I don't defend that. I think we go where it just takes us, and it took us here, so we can carry on working here. And I think I want to listen to these in solo just for a moment and see spatially what are we in need. Are we in need for an effect to try to get to those like spacious elements I was talking about? Yeah, we can try something out in parallel. Yeah, let's try. Not sure what to try. Let's bring a couple of options. Let's try this Fox Echo. Let's try that one. Let's try Super Tap by Waves Stereo. Let's try to come up with something, and let's also try Mixbox. Let's see if we like any of these. So we are sending the which one is that? We're sending that one and that one, which is the chorus, and then we can think about the others. So keys effects, let's send it. Pre-fader, post effects. Yeah, let's do that. Like I don't want those rides I've just done in the fader to be interfering with the signal that goes to the effects, because that would just make it hot and then quiet. I want it pre-fader then, but I want post effects. So if I apply any compression here or something, it will have been printed. So this is in solo, that's okay. Let's make this a loop. And let's try some things. is going on here that there's no sound. What? I'm so confused. Okay, and this is why, well, I don't often work with Reaper, then this happens. Of course, I had to make it solo as well. Fine, we got to the bottom. So we want that here and we want that here. And let's bypass, well, let's leave it on the pad just for now. And let's solo the pad. Not sure I'm enjoying this one. Let's try something here. So the BPMs at 120. Yeah, let's try something here with this one. mix box has got this problem, which is it always starts at like +6. I don't know, super loud. I think we're gonna find something cooler here. Let's have a look. Okay, I was just trying to see what was happening with these. One is already on the left, the other's already on the right, so that's fine. But then those little accentuation notes, they are kind of stereo. So I pan them slightly, or not so slightly, to the right. But maybe let's pan them a bit less. It was a bit too much. But we will revisit that. So yeah, putting that aside, which we have spent already a bit more time than I wish we did, because I'm not quite convinced with that yet, but we'll leave that. It's better than nothing. It's still in my notes. I need to make those keyboards a bit spacious, and I need to do something with those guitars as well, like fit them more. I'm not sure if I want to put them more at the back or not, but I definitely want to add them some reverbs and some things to those. So let me just change the color of that one, because I like to have my effects with this blue color and my parallels with those colors. Fine. So I think what we're gonna do now is we're gonna do some mix bus processing in this chorus as it is. We're going to listen, see how we're hitting here. I think the loudest peak was 1.9, but I think overall the needle was around here, so I think we're just spot on when it comes to the sort of gain staging, and let's try to keep it that way. But let's try to see on our mix bus a few things that I have here. A Pultec sort of SSL style bus compressor, you know, and some tape. These are not engaged, it's just if we need this plugin, this refinement by Brainworks tames a lot of harshness around the high mids, so it may be useful at a later stage. This digital V3 is good for a bit of mid-side EQing later if we need as well, but I don't know what I want to do now, so I won't do anything. And then this limiter, which I am not going to use just yet, and I think we're going to actually add a free one, so you guys can check this one out. This is a free limiter and is really cool. It's like a fab filter, you know, sort of imitation, but it sounds really cool, and I think we're gonna probably be using this one instead. Minus 0.5, that's okay. So then we're gonna try, as soon as we lock some of these in, we're gonna try to do like a couple of dBs just to kind of mix through that and see what it will sound like whenever it goes for mastering or does mastering or those things. And this, I am not sure what this is doing here. What is this? Not quite sure. It's doing nothing, but it's giving me that. This is a free, let's load another instance. A free plugin with Reaper. And the cool thing is that you can right click and then you can show embedded UI, and whatever moves you've done here, it will show here. So it's pretty cool. Like if you've done a high pass or low pass or whatever, it's really cool to go through the tracks and see what you have done. So enough with the chit chat, let's go to the chorus, play. Let's listen to the Pultec. What I would be looking perhaps with the Pultec would be a bit of like a smiley EQ. I think I would be doing some general, you know, boosting on the lows. Let's see if it sounds better on 60 and on 100. Do a bit of boosting there, and then we just do a bit of boosting here as well. That's sort of like, it's not that I'm recreating any wheels or anything, but that's sort of a standard bus processing that mixers do, because this is great sounding plugin, goes on your mix bus. It's great that you are enhancing a bit of the lows and the highs with such gentle curves and such good quality plugins. So doing it with a Pultec on the overall song is good and is overall sounding better than just going on each individual track, increasing the bass and increasing the highs in each individual track. So that's why that's probably done in a mix bus processing. So let's start with that. Now to listen to that one, I'm going to actually use my monitors and not my headphones. I hope it doesn't cause any issues with the microphone, so I'll turn the mic off for a couple of seconds just so I can properly listen to the low end. Otherwise with the headphones is impossible. But then as I go for these higher bands, I will bypass my monitors and go back to the headphones. Yeah, so I think 60 sounds better. Well, I was messing with it when obviously it was off. That's very clever of me. Um, that's why I wasn't hearing anything, of course. So I will check this on headphones, see if I can hear something as well. But I think 100 sounded a bit more unnatural for the type of low end of this song. And so 60 sounded a bit better to me. Let's just double check that. Yeah, I do think it's rounder and overall sounds better with the 60. Let's leave it at 3. Let's not mess with that. The bandwidth, I put it in the middle. And now here, let's try to figure out if we like any of these, really. And if we don't use that, we don't need to mess with that. Home back to my life. I'm not sure. That's the one I like the most, I think. Over here, it sounds like it brings the S's too forward. It makes the symbols, which are not too prominent, but it makes them harsh. So 12 was the kind of gentler one for me. I am not sure. But that's what it sounded like. And I think we'll leave it as that for the moment. Let's try a bit of compression. When I do this, I try not to mess with it much, you know. I would rather perhaps add another one or a different one even, because that is driving into the compressor. And so it's going to change. Oh, what have I done? Undo. Yeah. It's going to change like what goes into the compressor. So I think I would rather stay out of it with messing much more, like tiny moves, not more than that. This was probably, I didn't notice this, but this was probably over the place because we've increased the bass and everything. So we'll fix that in a minute. Or actually we can fix it on the Pultec. We reduced it, but maybe not by enough. Home back to my life. it here because we've also engaged this in, and this gives automatically a couple of dBs. So maybe that's not helping as well. Okay, let's go again. I don't know why this keeps coming out of loop, but that's annoying me. I'm not sure if I like the 30 milliseconds that much. This is a very standard sort of, you know, parameters in these type of compressors. Like you leave it at 30 milliseconds so that the drums keep knocking and they're, you know, the transients get through. And if you notice when I engage it, like the vocal is coming through a bit more because it's transient heavy when you sing, and those first consonants and everything, they come through better. The kick and snare and the congas and everything, those transient heavy instruments are coming through, but then I'm losing the music. So if I leave it like that, I'm either going to drive some parallel music into this, or like into like a second bus, or I'm going to try a different compressor, such as a Fairchild, for example. Well, I don't have that. It's another name. That. Exactly. Let's try bypass that. Let's pin that one. Bring that. Pin that one here. So we can then compare them. So that's 30 milliseconds, small ratio, automatic release, or like 0.1 release. Let's leave automatic. But it was making the transients poke through a lot, but I feel like I'm losing the music. And over here, what are we gonna do? Let's play with the time constants. I'm not sure what we're gonna do here. Let's play and let's try to listen. not sure which one I like the most, which one I like the least, to be fair. Clearly this one adds more knock to the song, and clearly this one adds coloring to the song, but at the same time is affecting the tonality of the song as well, which is, you know, is the job with the transients is not as good as this one. I just have to decide whether I want a bit more knock or whether I want a bit more color, but a rounder sound. Perhaps I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave that one in, the Pultec style. I'm going to create another parallel, I don't know, parallel mix bus, something like that. Parallel mix bus, which is kind of, let's create another one. So let's create this mix bus 1, mix bus 2. And let's say that this is the mix bus master. Okay, so then that one does not go to the master anymore. It goes into this one, which is post fader, post pan, and goes here. Oh, no, cancel that. So that goes to mix bus 1, and that goes to mix bus 2 as well. Post pan, post fader, same numbers. These two, I'm gonna have to bring them around here. And so mix bus 1 is going to be the Pultec, that one, the tape machine, that, and that, and that. Okay, so then we remove all of these. Okay, and then this is just the master for those two, which we're gonna put it like that, and then these two can be red. So these are our new mix buses. Here they are. Beautiful. And so what's gonna happen is whatever I'm going to drive from here to here, it's going to affect the signal. So let me bring that one to normal levels and that one down. That's going to be our Fairchild for the tone and things. But I'm not going to engage it right now because I might need to give it a bit more mids. That's what I find usually with the mixes. When I listen later, is that I might need to give it a bit more mids. And so I might use this parallel mix bus to bring more mids into the mix. So I won't engage that now, but I'll write a note to come back to this. So parallel mix bus. And these ones will carry on with what we were doing. We'll do the limiting in things. If we notice that we bring a lot of this one later, we might do the limiting on the actual master bus so that we're limiting both of these together, not just that one. So let's see how it sounds now with that one. That one is muted. And let's bring a bit of tape, see if we need some. Adding a bit of color for sure. I can mess with these and the input so we can listen more of what each of these does. So we can then pick one, I guess. hope you have heard that. Is very subtle, and this is what's so complicated about mixing. I would say is that you don't. I think you don't necessarily hear sometimes what it's doing, especially when we don't have professional monitoring. Like my headphones are cheap headphones, and even my monitors, they're not great monitors, and my room is not treated as well. But I think that what I've learned with time is if it's adding a tiny little bit of something, which I might not necessarily tell what it is, but if it's adding something, and when I bypass it, it's not making it any worse. On the contrary, then I keep it. If it's making it a bit worse, or if I'm losing something that I don't want to lose, like with this compressor, I was losing too much of the transients, and I felt like he was giving a different tonality to the song. So that's why I decided not to go with that. But whereas with this one, we were gaining a bit of transients, so why not keep it? Plus, we can always sort of reduce. That's the where's that option? Mix. So with the BX, the Brainworks plugins, you can always parallel things. So if we're not happy later, we can always do like maybe 50%. But I think the difficulty, and perhaps what I want to pass on with these, is when they're all together bypassed, you can tell that there's a difference. And what each of these plugins adds is harmonic saturation, adds loudness without necessarily peaking more, which is something that we need to gather at each stage of the mix. And so it's always positive if you're adding tape. It's always positive if you're adding an EQ such as a Pultec, any analog model compressor. That's always a plus to your mix. So don't be afraid to use them. The tiniest of movements can make a massive difference. So we'll leave it as that now. I think the episode is probably very big already. We'll carry on the other parts then.